Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. For those who don't know me, my name is Jess, and I'm the Director of Customer Success at Rezgo. So I'm very happy to welcome you to our webinar, Corporate Tour Blueprint, your playbook for profitable repeat business. So as always, we like to go over a few housekeeping items before we get started. We are recording, and we will send you a copy of this either today or tomorrow, as well as some other resources that Kelsey will mention today. And you are all muted, but if you do have questions, just go ahead, submit them in the Q&A. I'll keep an eye on it, and we'll just cover as many as we can at the very end or throughout the session if it makes sense. So now I'm happy to introduce our speaker, Kelsey Tonner. Kelsey is the founder of Guest Focused Tour Business Coaching. And for 2 decades now, Kelsey has been helping tour business owners as a mentor, consultant, a speaker, experience designer, guide trainer, as well as an award-winning tour leader. And one of the things that Guest Focus does really well is helping tour operators focus on their guests. So when you're looking to branch out to a corporate niche, which is what we're going to discuss today, your guest will, of course, look very different than it does for your current tours. So I'm really excited to dive into this topic. I'll just go ahead and hand it over to the expert. Kelsey, welcome.
Hi there, everybody. Very much a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, wherever you happen to be. We were just discussing, most of our panel here is based on the West Coast, just in British Columbia, Canada. So it's great to be with you this morning. I don't know about expert, but certainly what we do with Guest Focused Tour Business Coaching is we really kind of monitor our industry for best practices. And whenever possible, essentially we want to document those, write them down, because so many of us are working on our own, on our tour and activity businesses. And so through our coaching program, we really layer on, like I said, one-on-one mentorship, some accountability, and then as much as possible, best practices. So today, our focus, let's pull up the slides, make sure everybody's in the right place. But you might be here because you're interested in corporate tours. So we're going to dive in just a moment, and we're going to go through a number of common mistakes that we see tour and activity businesses making when they are considering corporate tours. And one of those is actually essentially not establishing a niche. Corporate, as you'll see here in a moment, is a pretty broad catch-all term, and there's a lot of different, let's say, customer segments. There's a lot of different problems that you could be solving when you were focused on businesses, companies, organizations, et cetera. And so we have an optional download. Abby can pop this in the chat, but it's essentially 8 profitable corporate tour niches. This is a resource from the program that we wanted to give as a gift, essentially for you here, if you express some interest or you're interested in just finding out if this is a good fit or not. Here's 8 different niches and some of the pros and cons of why you might want to choose that. So you can find that at guestfocus.com/Rezgo-Corp. And there's that just on screen there. We'll try and get it into the chat as well. Okay. I think that's probably all we need to get started. Like I said, if you've got questions, we'll keep an eye on the Q&A as we're going through. So I think what I'll do is maybe I'll just kind of forget with Zoom webinars where we go, but sometimes I flip off my camera so it's not as distracting. But I want to take just a beat to talk about, hey, why is this topic crucial at this moment in time? For starters, for those that maybe haven't heard this before, corporate tours are essentially travel experiences organized for businesses, right? Or organizations. They can serve multiple purposes, from team building, retreats. They can be incentive trips used to sort of motivate different teams. They could be executive meetings in exotic locations. And we believe that every tour operator should explore the potential to create and sell highly profitable corporate tours and experiences. But at the same time, we also want to say, well, look, this isn't for everyone. Not every geographic location, just as one example, lends itself to a corporate strategy. But it's worth exploring at this moment in time for a couple of these reasons. 1, regular repeat business. A major perk of diving into this corporate space, or if you're considering it, is the possibility of regular repeat business. If your corporate offers a hit or you can maintain those relationships, you're likely to see clients coming back again and again. It doesn't just mean steady cash flow, of course, and revenue, but it also sets you up for solid business growth in the long run. As you continue to add repeat customers, we see that snowball effect. Higher profits. Major upside is this opportunity for premium pricing. Companies have larger budgets for these types of experiences, events, for client entertainment or incentive trips, you name it. we can easily achieve, in our recommendation, as we'll discuss later in the webinar here, is as much as 60% gross profit on corporate tours. Plus, you can avoid some of the commissions charged by online travel agencies or other resellers. Many of these are direct sales. Another benefit is that single point of contact for larger volumes or potentially for larger volumes, right? So we're often dealing with just a single decision maker. We don't have to get, in a larger group size of 50 people or 60 people with a company or group. We don't have to do 50 sales or 25 sales. We're often just convincing one or two key decision makers. So it can be, we can also get paid in advance with that single point of contact. So it can be easier to forecast cash flow. You can also, leverage that revenue if you're getting it earlier in the year. We could spend that potentially on growth. We could potentially run some new ad campaigns or hire some additional help to get stuff off your plate. Revenue diversification is another key way because it diversifies our sources of revenue, making your business more resilient. As we know, there's lots of ups and downs and uncertainty. For many folks, it helps counteract the seasonal nature of the tourism industry as well. So unlike leisure tourists, let's say, or travelers, companies are often scheduling their events or trips during off-peak seasons. Not always, but certainly in the northern hemisphere, where we might see a drop off in, early December to, the holiday period. That's actually a time when a lot of companies are looking to do year-end celebrations or maybe some team building events. So it can mean more steady income year round and help offset feast and famine cycles. And then lastly, why this webinar, like why this topic now? We just see this rise of hybrid teams, right? Obviously, with the pandemic, we saw a massive spike in remote work. Yes, many people have returned to the office, but if anything, this has just created more and more people working in this hybrid way where you've got both in-person folks, sometimes entirely remote teams. So your corporate experiences really solve this key challenge head on of, hey, how do we create a company culture? How do we improve the communication? How can we make people feel like they're part of a team here? So this is an opportune time to expand your offerings. And I think just with the rise of screen time, with the rise of, well, increasingly AI and AI bots and Zoom, like Slack, Microsoft Teams, like there's so much back and forth, even when you're in the office, just sitting in front of a screen. And I think we are really have this, basically we have this incredible opportunity to get people away from the screen. And I think that should be a good selling point. I'm not gonna spend much time on my background. I've been a speaker at some now 30 or 40 international events, the founder of Guest Focused Tour Business Coaching, where every day we are helping you build thriving, profitable tour businesses. Our broader mission is to help fill the world with engaging, inspiring experiences. And the way that we do that is pretty specific. We want to create the world's best coaching program for tour business owners. But here's really why I want you to pay attention today. If you're wondering, well, why should we trust what you're saying about corporate stuff? Well, I don't want you to just trust me, but I want to introduce a handful of our coaches, because this is how this whole the training and resources we put together around selling more corporate tours really came from our coaching team. This is Avital, who's based in the Bay Area. She runs corporate experiences in 16 different locations around the world, multiple millions of dollars in annual sales. Up in Juneau, Alaska, Midgie Moore. Down in Charleston, we have John and his team with Bulldog Tours. We have a guest coach, Andy from Austin Eats, who really helped us put together some of these corporate resources. And so when we looked at our coaching team, we realized many of these operators, our own coaches, our guest focused coaches, we're doing millions and millions of dollars of corporate sales. And we said, hey, can you open up the kimono a little bit here? Can you share some of what you're doing? How did you, obviously they didn't get there overnight. What were some of the things you learned along the way? And so you might be wondering, why is it more tour business owners don't get the results they're after in the corporate market? Well, full stop. This is where we're going to get into some of these mistakes. So let me just scroll ahead to mistake number one. I was just trying to look for the Q&A. Haven't seen any questions come in there yet. Like I said, feel free to just ask questions as we go along. Okay. Failing to choose a niche within the corporate market. So what does this mean? Well, basically, by when we try to appeal to every segment of the corporate market, tour business owners dilute your marketing message, you dilute your sales pages, and we struggle to stand out from competitors. Let's make this really concrete. Here's just a quick screenshot of a like very generic sort of catch-all private corporate page. And some of you watching here today might be kind of falling into this trap, or we just kind of have this thing. So, hey, if you're interested in a private booking or a corporate event, like we do, team building, we do bar mitzvahs, we can do bachelorette parties, you can, it's really just kind of everything. And then you have typically a pretty diluted call to action as well, which might be something as simple as, hey, contact us. Oh, hey, shoot us an email. And so the key takeaway here is we need to, or we encourage you, or our coaches have had success by leaning into one, to start with, corporate niche that you could potentially cater to, whether that's team building excursions, or you want to focus on incentive trips, reward and recognition experiences, or maybe you want to focus on meetings, events, and conferences. And a lot of this is going to depend on your specific destination. Are there meetings, events, and conferences happening in your area? If so, well, that might be something to look at. If there are not, obviously, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time serving conferences if there's no conferences happening in your area. So we want to adjust your offer, adjust your experience, your sales, and your marketing to highlight the unique value proposition. So how do we do this? Well, one of the things is, firstly, take a step back and try to identify some of the strengths and expertise. What types of tours, or essentially what types of offers, I should say, best align with your current tours? Are your existing experiences particularly good for team building activities or client entertainment? I think we have a couple examples that we're going to go through, but one of our coaching members named Heather, she's based in the San Francisco area, and she does sort of private VIP Tesla tours. She doesn't have large vehicles, and so she focused less on the team building niche, but really leaned into more this client entertainment and engagement, meaning some of the companies in the Bay Area, when they have VIPs coming in, or maybe some of their top clients, maybe people that they're trying to win over or do a deal with, they can hire Heather's company to kind of wine and dine them for the day, right? Go out and see some of the highlights of San Francisco, get over to the Muir Woods, maybe go to the wine region, maybe it's their families. So that, because of her sort of more premium luxury feel, the smaller vehicle size, used to those types of private experiences, that was the right choice for her. Someone like Andy and his team down in Austin Eats, where they have access to a number of large vehicles, and they can do a lot of events essentially that are happening in Austin, Texas. Well, by all means, he can now do groups up to 150 or 200. And that was a big unlock because he was able to create a food tour that would work using some vehicles and buses, and he could do an event for 200, 300 people. So that was a great fit for him. So choose your corporate niche based on your strengths and opportunities in your region. And then, of course, develop that dedicated sales page. We want to avoid this mistake of a generic catch-all sales page for private or corporate bookings. An irresistible offer, a high converting sales page needs to be written with just one prospect in mind. I help these specific people. Right? We want to be able to answer that question for your corporate sales. So let's have a quick look. These are a couple screenshots just from the handout that we mentioned off the top. You can see the link there that Abby shared, the 8 profitable corporate niches. We're not going to go into too much detail, but here's a quick sample. Team building experiences, right? Companies of all sizes, big, small, are on the lookout for ways to foster unity, team cohesion. Like we said, get out from behind the screen, or maybe meet some of your remote colleagues. Company offsites is a language that's sometimes used. These experiences often emphasize challenges aiming to create shared corporate memory. So keep in mind, team building might be a little bit different than just a social event or a seasonal or milestone, right? So if you have a team building experience, or I know some companies who have even hired facilitators. So, hey, we've got a particular experience, and then we have, if you're interested, somebody who could lead some team building exercises if you wanted. Or I'm thinking here of like a challenge course, or maybe pushing people's comfort zone a little bit with doing a rafting adventure, something that creates that sort of I don't know, a team unity. This is a shared challenge that we've got to get through. that may not be the goal for a seasonal or milestone celebration, where really we're just trying to have a celebratory event. We just are tired of going out to a restaurant, right? We go out for dinner. Yeah, okay, it's on the company. Everyone has a great time. We want to do something different to celebrate a great year or a milestone, or potentially just going into the holiday period. We mentioned client entertainment and engagement here with the example with Heather, but this niche caters to companies looking to impress VIP clients, building relationships. Here, I would say most of the time we're focused on more luxury, more exclusivity, high-end type experiences that align with the company's brand. I think we've got one more. Yeah, meetings, events, and conferences. So catering to specific trade shows, meetings. Um, Typically, we're seeing larger groups here. So for each of these, like I said, I'm not going into too much detail. I encourage you to grab that handout, but we've got pros and cons, right? So the pros might be consistent demand from various different conferences, events, potential for large group bookings, which ultimately means higher revenue and typically higher profit. Cons, there's often more competition for event business. They may be one-off conferences versus repeating, like, hey, this particular conference is coming to Nashville this year, but next year they're off to another place. So there might be less of that repeat business with the same clients, if that makes sense, but you might have a steady stream of different clients that are passing through, especially if you're in one of those destinations that really facilitates events and conferences. And these might be going on without many tour operators knowing about it. A great point of contact, we don't have time to get into it here today, is your local uh, tourism bureau. If you're in the southern states, they kind of call them tourism bureaus, destination marketing organizations, or your DMO. It's often used in other parts of Europe, up here in Canada a little bit more. So they're great point of contact because they are often very aware of the events that are coming through. They're actively, in many cases, trying to woo people to bring their events, conferences, and meetings. So they're a great point of contact for lead generation. Here's I think here just want to show some examples of those dedicated sales pages, right? And we can maybe dive in a little bit more in depth, but Vancouver's premier team building adventure, right? This is Vancouver Foodie Tours. This is Michelle. She's in our coaching program. Effortless team outings. Leave the details to us and say goodbye to stressful planning. Notice how specific this is to team building, right? We have team building clients here. Some of our social proof and our credibility boosting indicators are not just quotes from travelers or other people that have had this experience. But notice here, we're leaning into, hey, these companies trusted us with their team building event. The testimonials and quotes we highly recommend being from who? Well, some of those team building organizers, right? This is a very different sales page than when we're selling your experience to travelers. This is Heather's company, San Francisco corporate events that are effective and easy. Private group sightseeing, highlighting top destinations, incentive rewards and client entertainment that wows, and customized luxury transportation. Small groups enjoy fully loaded Teslas, executive sprinter or motor coaches available for larger parties. Okay, hopefully that's pretty clear. Let's have a look at another mistake. Failing to design specific corporate experiences. So the needs and preferences of corporate clients are different than the average traveler. Your corporate tour design needs to reflect that fact in order to get that product market fit. So how do we do this? We recommend doing a guest deep dive. This, for us, when we're doing our coaching, is essential first step when you're trying to serve anyone, any particular niche at the highest possible level. This typically starts with having some conversations with the people that you want to serve. This could be, yes, you can do this online with some stealth. You can do this now with AI, where you can start to anticipate some of the challenges and pain points of a target client. We have tools that we share around that. But a lot of time, it doesn't need to be this high tech, right? We don't need AI to have some conversations with the folks that you're trying to serve, and trying to understand what some of their pain points are. What are some of their dream scenarios? What are they tired of? And that way we can create corporate packages that directly align with solving some of those problems, fulfilling those dream scenarios. This is the key question when we are looking to design a corporate package, right? So we've already chosen the niche, but now we want to really get after it and say, well, hey, what are your biggest challenges or frustrations when it comes to team building? right? When it comes to a year-end celebration. And maybe, by the way, some of those things might be how we're really tired of like cheesy offsites. Like maybe they've done a lot of these, like, I don't know, like name games or thing that they were really irritated and they didn't want that, right? Or maybe it's just we're really frustrated to having to accommodate transportation. We're really looking for a solution that can pick us up from the office and can drop us off. We're we always were trying to have we want to have a central meeting location afterwards. This is something that Coach Andy found with his groups. He's like, even for those larger groups, he gave them the easy button by having a single venue. They rotated around, went to some different stops and had some food things. But then they said, hey, a centralized venue at the end that's big enough for your group of 200, 250 people. You want to throw in a welcome drink. Hey, we can get like a DJ or some music. Easy button, right? By making that part of his package, he was able to not only sell a higher valued project, but he was helping them solve their problems. Like, oh, wow, that's a lot off my plate. I don't have to go around and try and find a venue and all that messing around. If you've got a place that you love, here's some of what we're looking for. Here's some common challenges, just give you a heads up on a lot of what we've seen as the people in our coaching program have reached out to and started working with companies. Hard to please groups with diverse interests. So you can imagine some of these people, maybe they're working together, but they don't necessarily have, I don't know, shared interests, shared passions, shared hobbies. So this can be challenging when you're trying to organize an event that can, whatever, please everybody. Most of the organizers have quote other jobs. So meaning typically the person that's tasked with organizing this corporate offsite, it's just one of many things that's on their plate. It could be either an HR person, it could be an executive assistant. They're typically very busy. They don't have a ton of time. There's a lot of stress over the supplier quality. So, typically, again, if this is being identified as a priority by a boss or by an owner, the person that is fulfilling this, there's a lot of peer pressure here, right? They've maybe making choices about what event they're going to do. So they're nervous and want guarantees that one, you're going to say what you're going to do. Two, are you reliable? Three, are their peers in the company organization actually going to enjoy this? Boss and managers might bring different KPIs or want specific deliverables, key performance indicators, what KPI stands for. And so it's important to really dig into when you're asking these questions, like, well, what is the key solution that you're looking for, or is there a specific deliverable that you're after, right? So you really want to make sure that they as much as possible that you're delivering on what they're looking for. So asking them if there's what they're after, right? Companies want their staff to feel appreciated. They're often looking for novelty, which is great if you're coming into this space. And they often have set budgets. It's just an example of this challenge. I'll read it out loud. It might be hard to read. This was from one of our clients, but a great testimonial to put on their corporate landing page. Planning staff functions is usually exhausting. I put so much time into it and then no one actually wants to go. Thank you so much for designing a day for us that was actually fun. I really enjoyed working with you and your team. Everyone was happy with how it turned out, even my boss. Definitely call you again to book next year. Rachel from Los Angeles. So you can see here, this is a very specific testimonial, fantastic social proof that we want on, that landing page. Empathizing, appreciating, deeply understanding who you're trying to serve really is your secret weapon. And it's going to allow you to come in and put together an irresistible offer. That's really our goal. All right, this is an important one to ask or be aware of, I would say. So I was just looking at the ask questions Q&A. Mistake number 3, over customization. Many tour operators fall into the trap of overly customizing every aspect of their tours for each individual corporate client. Well, yes, it's important to cater to specific needs. This can become really inefficient and time consuming, especially if you're saying like, well, hey, I want this to be something that can grow year over year. Many of our coaches actually found when they started doing some of these corporate tours and experiences, for all the benefits that we listed off the top, from repeat business to higher profit margins to one single point of contact, getting paid in advance, it's very possible for you, this corporate revenue stream, to overtake in time your other sales channels. So we want to be, I guess, starting as you mean to go on, or trying to build something that could actually scale. Okay, maybe you're doing, 5 corporate clients. What would this look like if you were doing 15 a year, right? If you were 3x the number of clients, or you 4x or 5x, right? So we want to avoid this trap of over customization. Instead, we encourage you to use a corporate menu. Instead of customizing for every corporate client, your goal should be develop a menu of best-selling offers, again, targeted around that specific niche. Um, we want to put another way, I guess, productize your corporate tours, but work hard to make them feel personalized. And this will save you and your team resources. It allows for more efficient operations and scalability. I think I put in here, or I pulled up, I have an example here. Yeah, so we actually have a sample corporate menu as part of our coaching program. And like I said, I'm happy to share some of these resources, and we'll invite you towards the end of the session. If you want to have a free essentially corporate strategy call with one of our coaches, we'd love to share, again, go a little bit further in depth on the strategy, maybe help you assess if this is the right opportunity. Abby, maybe we can throw that in the chat, but if that's something of interest, we'd be happy to share more. But so in here, we give you essentially a template of a corporate menu, but let's have a quick look. This is Arva, one of our coaching clients. She's over in Dubai, actually, and she does some great food tours. She has a nice personal intro here. Thanks for your interest. Again, this is a specific downloadable from her corporate landing page. She focused on the team building niche. Why do a team building experience with us here in Dubai? She lists some nice features and benefits. Our tours and experiences have been recommended by, here's some of the companies that she's worked with. She has some great press here. And then you can see here that this is a culinary menu, a corporate menu. People are choosing from some preset options, like one, the Arabian culinary adventure. Bond over the best bites from Middle East in a bustling neighborhood that offers refreshing contrast to New Dubai. And so this is I think, Emirati dirham, but it gives you the core sense of this is a per person pricing. You don't always have to do per person. It's probably a bit beyond the scope of here, but we actually have a pricing calculator specific for corporate experiences. But notice this is the second thing I want to draw your attention to. And this came to us from a number of coaches who have had a ton of success with corporate tours, upsells, and experience boosters. So this is where you can get into some of this perceived customization, meaning we are going to have a core offer for here's their 3-course food crawl, but then we helped Arva develop what are those experience enhancers. Well, hey, if you want to throw in a baklava, souvenir, and coffee, it's only 180 dirham per person. We can just add that on top. If you want to have some premium refreshments, if you want to have a premium coach service to and from your tour, an elite arrival, a guide meet and greet service at your location, at your business, this is the fee here. And they say select locations in Dubai. And what I mean by perceived customization is now people are still working from your corporate menu, but they can essentially adjust the experience not only to meet their needs and wants, but also to meet their budget. Andy from from Austin Eats was saying he was often able to double the value of his contract, even when people came in and say, hey, I've got this is my limited budget. But by having these experience enhancers and upsells that are a really good upsell, by the way, we actually have some benchmarks where we want to say like, hey, look, your top upsell should be chosen by at minimum, 25% of clients. And if not, then we urge you to go back to the drawing board to make sure that you've got some really irresistible experience enhancers. Your goal here is to increase the average order value as much as possible. This is gonna be more profitable because, by the way, you can put that same 60% profit markup on each of these additions. So here's some other examples. A curated wine pairing. This is, I think, from Vancouver Water Adventures, possibly. Add a curated wine pairing at each tasting stop, showcasing local British Columbia wines. Exclusive venue access, right? Reserve a private dining venue, not open to the public. We can end our tour in style. Hey, do you want a professional photographer to come along, capture that experience, provide high quality photos? Great examples of optional experience enhancers. So what I can show you here, yeah, let's go into this. No dedicated sales funnel. This is mistake number 4. I'm going to share a couple more of those, just some real world examples and some of the templates that we've got in the program. But let's stay focused on this mistake right now. significant error we see tour operators make is the absence of any kind of sales funnel that's going to essentially move those corporate clients from folks that are interested, maybe doing some research, into ultimately customers. So first point is to collect email addresses efficiently. The top of a sales funnel for corporate tours, which often have, we got to say this upfront, often have a longer sales cycle. We're really dealing here on almost all cases with B2B marketing, not a B2C, a B2 consumer. Now, it is all marketing and sales is human to human. We want to keep that in mind, but here we're definitely in this B2B, business to business realm. So we typically see a longer sales cycle where we're going to have multiple touch points with a client. We're going to have to nurture them over a longer period of time. So we want this first step to collect an email address to be a very low funnel, a low hurdle is the word I was looking for. So if some people, that will highlight this as another mistake, is if the first step in your sales funnel is a really long corporate intake form, right? You may have seen some of those. We have a number of examples that we share, and that is a good thing to have people fill out because it's going to get information around the dates, obviously, the nature of the experience that they're after if they're choosing from a corporate menu of yours, and most importantly, things like the group size and a handful, is there any other priorities? Tell us more about this celebration. But if that's your first point, and that's the only way that you are able to collect an email address or contact information, many people, when they're starting this journey, they don't have their final numbers. They don't know the dietary restrictions. They may not have a date confirmed. And so what we recommend, we actually have a corporate landing page template that we urge you to model, is we have something like this. This is the other big advantage of corporate menu and pricing. So we've got this great landing page. We don't have time to go into a full breakdown, but you can see here a lot of best practices, but check this out. So we've got start a booking, which will take you right to the full corporate intake form. So in case you haven't seen one of those, this is what it might look like. Estimated group size. Do you have a budget goal per person? Do you have a preferred event date, preferred start time? So this is a pretty well optimized, longer corporate intake form. And this actually goes right into a CRM, customer relationship management. And we actually have a template pipeline for keeping track of your corporate leads. And you can move them through different stages, right from, hey, have they filled out this corporate inquiry form? Okay, have we sent over a proposal? Okay, is it signed? Have we received a deposit? Have we received full payment? We have a pipeline that you can follow. That's kind of what a sales funnel looks like. But notice here, there's not pricing on this landing page. That's the key insight. So when we go corporate menu and pricing, get pricing and details for your next private event. Pricing available immediately upon submission. Look at this. Look at how quickly and easily we can capture that lead and deliver something of value to folks, which is a corporate menu, as the example we were looking at, which would be something like this. And we actually have a template here. I love this too. This is on the landing page, but we encourage you to put it inside your corporate menu as well, where you're clarifying, okay, what are the 3 steps to work together? You always want to break this down into 3, no more than 4 steps. So you can, if we scroll down, you can see how we did this here. Hey, how to work together in 3 simple steps. 1, start a booking. Share your dates, group size, and goals, and we'll assemble the perfect proposal for your needs. 2, confirm with a deposit. Review our detailed proposal, lock in your dates. I think it might be missing there with a deposit, so you know exactly what you're getting. And 3, we handle the rest. The third step is always like sit back and relax, right? You actually are really just trying to break this down into like setting expectations for how to do business with you. And of course, doing business with you might be 20 steps or 30 steps. We got to get you to sign this, then you got to get pay. But I love this. Donald Miller, who's a Business Made Simple. I think he does such a great job of calling out so many businesses where you make it's unclear how to actually do business with you. And specifically on this corporate or private side of your business, we want to make it crystal clear that, hey, this process is different. We're not almost certainly not going into booking software, right? So the process should be clarified in these 3, max 4 steps. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a bit of a sense here of how we can efficiently capture email addresses and have that first hurdle be pretty low. Because now that you've got that email address, we can leverage email or potentially SMS automation to help not only nurture that event organizer or that corporate contact, but to get them to take the next step in the funnel. I don't know if I had pulled this up or not. You're getting a little sneak peek of this is our corporate, some of our corporate resources. But it's probably a bit overwhelming, but what I wanted to show you here, where's our funnel overview? Yeah, this one, this PDF. See if I can quickly pull this up for you. Yeah, this is the one. See if I can click here and that'll make it a little bigger for us. So this is what we recommend as a fairly simple, it might look a bit overwhelming here, but a corporate tour sales funnel. And this is modeled off of, like I said, some of what our coaches have built. So we're driving most of our traffic. We'll talk about the marketing in a moment here, but LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, other outreach strategies, we're all driving them to this same corporate tour landing page, right? And it's optimized around that specific niche. We've got an irresistible offer on there. And one of the first opt-ins is this corporate menu, right? We've got just the email address at this stage. Now, the other thing they can do from that page is, of course, jump right into the corporate intake form. That's where we've got more information about their event, from their business, etc. But notice what we're doing up here is this is a 6-email automated series that is going to deliver the corporate menu. But then we're going to start following up. We're going to include, it's kind of hard to see here, but one of these emails is going to be focused on social proof. Another one's going to be really clarifying the problem that you're solving, some of the results that you've gotten for people. Email 4 will be about objections. Hey, here's some of the biggest concerns people have before making a booking with us, and empathize with them. Hey, we totally get it. And then we can overcome some of those objections. But what is the call to action in every single one of these automated touch points? Like this could be delivered 2 or 3 days later. Typically, when people are downloading a corporate menu, we say a 48-hour delay, at least on this initial automation. But what are we trying to do? Every single one, hey, come on back and fill out our corporate intake form, right? That's that form, more detailed form that is here. Because this is how we're now advancing them down the sales funnel. So hopefully that gives you a bit of sense of why just capturing that email can help you automate, 5, 6 of these touch points to advance them further down the funnel. Because a lot of times stuff falls through the cracks, doesn't it? And I think that's the mistake we're trying to avoid. Throughout that funnel, we want to have clear next steps. Every stage of your sales funnel they should know, and in every communication with them, what that next step is, whether it's filling out the more detailed booking inquiry, maybe it's scheduling a call with your sales rep, depending on what your sales funnel look like. If you are doing something more custom, is it making the deposit? Hey, here's how you make the deposit. Here's the link to do it, or the information you need. You want potential clients to know exactly how to take the next step. Let's go to mistake number 5. Hopefully this has been inspiring to you. Just quickly pull up. No Q&A there so far. Hopefully that's a good thing. Maybe you're all furiously scribbling notes, but this is a great time. If you do have a question or you want some clarification on anything you've seen so far, by all means, get it in now. We'll answer those questions as we go. Mistake number 5 is, of course, no marketing budget, or sometimes ambiguous marketing campaigns. We have to recognize that essentially what you're doing is building essentially another mini business inside your main business, right? You have to think about, okay, if I'm doing email marketing, for example, for your main business, which for many of us is serving maybe tourists or visitors, international travelers, keep in mind, we have to have a marketing budget that is separate. We're going to have marketing efforts to collect leads. Now, we have in the program 8 recommended tactics. These came directly from our coaches. They're saying these have been our most effective channels, and then a complete playbook of how to take each of those steps. But I just want to highlight here some of the low-hanging fruit, or that, I guess, stuff that doesn't take like a $5,000 or $10,000 marketing budget to get started. This is always where we want to start. So leverage community networks. Recognize and leverage your personal and community networks as potential channels for reaching corporate and organizational clients. Remember, most people in our lives are working in companies. They're working within organizations or departments, and these can serve as a rich source of potential leads. people tend to underestimate the value of these personal referrals and how valuable community networks can be, especially if you get a particular company or an organization in the door and they love the experience and they come back year after year after year. That's an enormous value to our business. Here's another easy way is searching for corporate experiences in your area as if you were your own client. Meaning, let's say you were going to try and organize, let's just stick with the team building niche for right now, a team building event. Go into Google and type some of the keywords that come to mind, right? Is it a team building event, probably with a geographical modifier? Like, is it in then your city, corporate offsite in your city? And start to essentially putting yourself in the shoes of a corporate client seeking the type of corporate experience that you're offering. You can get competitive insights by searching for these. You can ideally get some pricing, get a sense of your competitors, and you can investigate the companies that are their customers. This is a best practice, so to speak, or a little hack is if they're doing a good job with their landing pages, they should be sharing what? They should be sharing testimonials. They should be sharing social proof. They should be sharing maybe some of the companies that they've worked with in the past. Well, guess who I would target if I was reaching out to get new business? Well, I would start with some of those companies because assuming they're not lying or fabricating this, those are folks who have spent money in the past on corporate experiences. They're very likely to do it again. Leveraging past clients or customers, your previous customers, including past corporate bookings. Sometimes, and some of you here on the call probably have that sense of, well, people find us, right? Maybe you weren't actively doing any marketing, but you got some corporate clients and you really want to kind of double down. Like, wow, how do I get more of those? Those are some of our best and most profitable clients. Well, keep in mind some of those past corporate clients or opportunities, they haven't heard from you in a while. So you can and should be keeping in touch with them. Reach out, check in. Acquiring a new customer costs way more than retaining an existing one. Past customers very likely already trust you. They've experienced the service you offer, and they're more likely to spend more than a first timer would. Right? You see some of the great stats here. Automate asking for referrals as well. So again, it's one thing to say, okay, I know I should reach out to past clients, but do we have a system in place where this is happening automatically? Do you have a monthly email that might be going out to some of those corporate organizers where you're not just saying, hey, buy our shiny stuff, hey, make a booking, but you're actually maybe delivering some value? What are some of the challenges associated with organizing a team building event? Maybe you can create, like I said, some content. We have some AI prompts in our corporate resources to help you generate some useful content. Like, hey, here's the 10 biggest mistakes that companies make when they're doing team building. Hey, here's a guideline to some of the top corporate offsite opportunities here in Vancouver. And you can make sure that your company's on that list, right? How can you help those organizers? Which again is content that should be different than those travelers. Automate asking for referrals. We have a number of sort of like template emails that we can automate so that every single, ideally, participant and every single organizer that goes through, we're actively asking, hey, if you had a great time, it would mean the world to us if you could introduce us into someone in your network who might be interested in an experience like this. And this is how Andy, one of our coaches with the corporate boot camp that we ran, was he started with one, I think. Yeah, well, obviously started with one, but I'm trying to remember the company. I think it was Dell. And so Dell has a pretty big office outside of Austin. And by asking for referrals to every single one of his clients, the Dell team got back and said, well, yeah, actually, we have a couple other departments. Let me introduce you. And so one became two, three became four. And the last time I spoke to him, he said they have 18 different groups and departments that book his food experience every single year. Think of the power of those referrals and making those wouldn't have happened. Or let's put it this way, you increase the likelihood of that happening by being intentional with it, by automating it to make sure this type of stuff doesn't fall through the cracks. And so that's, as you can imagine, just a massive amount of revenue year after year for Austin Eats and for Andy. So obviously we go a lot deeper into marketing, but just looking at our time here today, let's do a quick recap of these mistakes. Mistake number one, failing to choose a niche within the corporate market. Not zeroing in on that specific market segment dilutes the value proposition. It makes your offering forgettable, right? Think that generic catch-all landing page. And if you want to serve multiple niches, we even have, let me just see if Vancouver Foodie Tours, I always love giving lots of these real-world examples. Yeah, I think that's how I spell it. Let's just see their website. Come on. I was going to show you here in for the private tours. Notice here how she's broken out different landing pages for meetings and conventions, different from team building. If we go over to meetings and convention clients, we know how challenging it is for meeting and conference planners to create memorable experience for busy delegates. You want unique activities that engage attendees beyond a usual conference fare. By an immersive culinary experience for your corporate events in Vancouver will elevate their time with activities that not only foster meaningful connections and lasting memories, yada, 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 right? And then you could have features and benefits that are, supporting the local community, business networking opportunities, flexibility for groups, whether it's a small team outing or large scale activity, flexible group options. But this is a separate landing page. So just keep that in mind as we're, if you, we encourage you, Michelle and her team here at Vancouver Foodie Tours, they're a larger company, so they could target multiple niches. If you're just getting started, we recommend starting with just one. Mistake number two, failing to design specific corporate experiences. You're not just filling slots, you're creating, essentially, you're solving problems, right? Understand those specific needs of your corporate clients. So many of us, here's a great test. If you're looking at your booking software and your landing page for the standard sort of tour that's aimed at travelers or visitors, and you can't really differentiate it from your corporate offer, then that's a sign that we're missing the mark here. We need to lean into the real tangible benefits that a company is going to get from that team building experience. And that's an entirely different value proposition. Or if it's client entertainment and engagement, if you've got an important deal that you're trying to close, what's the value of helping win that big contract? Is the contract $250,000, $500,000, $1 million contract? And if you can wine and dine and make sure that they have the best time possible when in town, or you really take care of their family, that's incredibly valuable to a company, right? Those are the types of tangible benefits that we want to really lean into. Next mistake is that over customization for corporate clients. Tailoring experiences is good, but over customizing can be a time suck. It's going to limit your scalability, and you won't be able to reach some of the profit and revenue potential that many of our coaches have been able to create. You want a flexible, streamlined menu that allows for that perceived customization and allows for negotiation on budgets. Mistake number four, no dedicated sales funnel. No sales funnel, no bueno. It's a short thing. Structure your approach to collecting and nurturing corporate leads. Like I said, this will, if you're looking to scale and you're looking to make sure things don't fall through the cracks, we want to systematize. We have a complete walkthrough of how you can do that, which is essentially creating a pipeline for your leads. And then that way, as the leads come in, we can track what stage of the funnel they're at. And obviously that requires thinking through those different stages of the funnel. Mistake number five, vague corporate marketing campaigns. Kind of this, if I just put up a landing page, then I'll just sit back and let those corporate bookings come in. Nope. Not going to happen, right? Fuzzy marketing is not going to cut it. We have to be targeted. Like I said, there's 8 strategies that we recommend, but following a B2B marketing playbook, we have one of our coaches who was incredibly successful on LinkedIn, and she shared some of her strategies. That's a great social network that's obviously focused more on B2B marketing. And so her playbook is extremely effective just as an example channel that works especially effectively for businesses. So where do we go for here? Well, we're going to get to some questions. I see some Q&A coming in. We just wanted to highlight, like we said, the Sell More Corporate Tours Bootcamp. This is essentially the training that we put together. It was a live event. We first did it a couple of years ago. We updated it and did it in November of this year. But it's actually part of our core coaching program now because we recorded all the sessions. We have probably over 100 different templates, tools, including some of these things that we've shared here today. And essentially, we wanted to put together a proven system for converting these clients. So even something like this, where hey, this is a sample corporate landing page. We used a filled out example, but we have AI prompts that will help you write this entire page. And this is a template that you can hand off to a web designer. We have sample corporate menus that you can leverage. We've got this, I can quickly show you, but this is a pricing calculator that can really help you not only price your core offer and start to see your margins down here at the bottom, but also for your margins, right? Sorry, your margins. Yes, your margins, but your upsells. So we can have each one of these upsells. We can start looking at, okay, what's the fixed cost of this upsell? Are there any variable costs for that upsell? And then you can kind of roll this all into a table. So even if, you are doing some custom work, a pricing calculator like this that was used by many of our clients really helps you with quotation, if that makes sense. And then, of course, we want to give you the confidence to charge, like we said, more because of the incredible value that you were delivering. Anyway, so like I said here, if you are interested to learn more about those resources or you want a free 45-minute corporate strategy call, we'd love to help. So guestfocus.com/Rezgo call. We'd be happy to have a quick chat. And if it makes sense to work more closely together, great. And if not, well, we can definitely help you out a bit with the strategy. But let us go over to the Q&A. Hopefully that we're doing okay on time.
Yeah, we're great. I wanted to point out there is one question that came in the chat and then another in the Q&A.
Okay.
Not sure if
Shoot.
you saw the one in the chat, but that one came in first, so I'll just address that one. We have a question regarding sending emails before the client books. So just a question of, do you feel like sending 5 or 6 emails to a guest before they've even booked? Is that a bit too much? What's your opinion?
Absolutely, absolutely not. Now, we have to be thinking about what is in those emails. Is it useful to them? But Briaj, this is absolutely something you want to keep in mind with a longer sales cycle. Often, what we're doing with those emails is we're staying top of mind with clients. And again, they might be booking for an experience that's 5 months out or 6 months out. And so you can decide not to follow up at all. Let's say someone just downloads your corporate menu and be like, oh, I don't want to bother people. I'm not going to send any emails, and just hope that they, circle back. But this is essentially what a lot of B2B marketing is, hey, what touch points can we have them? Now, if you want to have a very personalized approach, you could send a personalized follow-ups and emails, if that makes you feel a little bit more comfortable. But what we are talking about here is, hey, how do we scale up? One of the things we did, Briaj, are you based in Belgium? Are you? I think you do beer tours. We may have crossed paths before. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a company called Top Golf. They're not actually here in Canada, but they have expanded rapidly across the United States, and they have an incredible corporate funnel. In our most recent bootcamp in the focusing on corporate in the fall, we actually did a full breakdown of their sales funnel, and because they have a lot of automated follow-ups from email to SMS. I was getting text messages to saying, hey, we saw that you were interested in coming to this Top Golf experience with your company. They also had personal phone follow-ups. So it was a flurry of activity within those 2 weeks of sending that inquiry. And then I'm now on to their more generalized B2B email list, where they're showing up and highlighting some of the results that are possible. Hey, here's some of those questions people have about the Top Golf experience. Hey, here's a case study with whatever General Mills and how they brought their team. So hopefully that gives you some context, Briaj. Ireland. Okay, awesome.
Great. And then there's another question that's in the Q&A, just asking, in your experience, what is the end result that buyers are looking to get from working with an agent?
Working with an agent. That's the only part that's giving me some pause. What's the end result that buyers are looking to get from working with an agent? I had to interpret it if you mean like working with you and your company. I can answer it as that way. Typically, you're not having an intermediary agent in corporate or in most corporate sales. Sometimes there are, I could maybe mention a few platforms. So like Virgin experiences or Virgin incentives, they're a place where you essentially you can list experiences, and then Virgin is kind of like a mini OTA for these corporate experiences. They're not super common. The place where it is more common, I would say, is in the incentive industry, especially like multi-day incentive trips. So I actually remember crossing paths when I was working in the Czech Republic with a woman who was based in Prague, and she helped organize these incentive trips to Czechia. And so basically it would go, start in Prague and maybe go on Český Krumlov and Budovice and have this experience. And she had a network of other almost like incentive trip organizers in the cities around the world in different countries. And so she was sort of doing inbound and outbound because in Prague, there's big representation from a lot of the biggest companies in the world. Around any major city, there typically are. And so there we sometimes have that intermediary layer where, hey, a company doesn't necessarily work directly with a multi-day provider, but they might be working with this incentive trip planner, and then they put together all the details for like, okay, the top, whatever 10 sales reps are going to go on this holiday, or hey, we're going to do an executive retreat. We want to go to Hawaii, or we want to go to Czech Republic, that type of thing. So hopefully that's gives some perspective maybe for other folks. By and large, you're doing direct B2B marketing. And so that's why it's important to have some of a sales funnel and then a CRM or pipeline where we're actually tracking deals through different stages. Now, sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean that certainly you're not going to get every single deal. We have typically in a pipeline like a closed won or closed lost, and that sort of pulls them out of that immediate sales funnel, but they're still going to then go into that almost like a mailing list, or we highly recommend email marketing. And we have actually some AI prompts to say like, hey, here's a once a month email. Because this before generative AI, that content creation could take a long time. Oh my gosh, I have to send an email to my corporate leads every single month. But we can actually spin up a pretty powerful and useful content calendar that's specifically focused on your niche. And we can get some really powerful content as long as you're prompting in the right way, which is clarifying who you're serving, clarifying what you do in your business, and then leaning into some of the challenges that they have. Jordy, hey, thanks for the great info. Repping the Nova Scotia swag. Yeah, so that's old Luckett. This is a winery in Nova Scotia. So eagle eye there, Jordy. Great.
Like that. So maybe there's just a couple minutes in case there's any last minute questions. We did have another one, but looks like it's been addressed. We had just a question to look at a website, but just for interest of time, definitely encourage everyone to book that one-on-one call just to have that one-on-one time for Kelsey to have a look at your site and answer any questions like that.
Yeah, you betcha.
Let's see.
And a big part of why we encourage people to at least consider this corporate market is many of us, struggle with profit. Many of us struggle with getting enough take-home pay, or we've been subsidizing our businesses with less money than we want. And this can really be a powerful way to get those higher margins. And someone like Andy, I think last time we spoke, as high as 85% of his revenue now comes from the corporate side of his business. Someone like Avatal, equally as high, because is just a more compelling business model. They're certainly not abandoning their public tours, but the profit potential is really high. And when we're looking at operators and some of the biggest challenges that we're trying to help them with, more profit and more take-home pay, that is one of our goals. And so we love helping people, and that's why I think this content and especially our resources around have been so popular, because it can be overwhelming to take a step in.
For sure. And I know that as an attendee of corporate tours in the past, what's so great is if the attendees have a great time, they go and tell all their friends. So, you can even get referrals for, not even corporate. Someone might then take their friends. So
Yeah,
great
and this
opportunity.
is why there's some best practices that we get into more depth. Maybe just one more before we wrap here is there's different schools of thought on this, but we encourage you to have some sort of like digital waiver that people sign before they do their experience. Um, and then this is a little bit more sophisticated, but you can tag, or we encourage you to tag the event organizers or the maybe the business owner or manager, the key decision makers separately from everyone else. But the what that gives you now is contact information for everyone that came on your experience. So yes, you can use that to drive to reviews. That's one option. But just like we were talking about, asking for recommendations, referrals, and introduction can pay massive dividends. And like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be like with the Dell example of like, oh yeah, I know someone else in that department. It just might be, hey, I'm really active. I'm part of the soccer club. Oh, I've got a really fun like book club or mom's group. And so you can tap into a lot of these other organizations, if it's in line with your offer. So that's another little best practice we'll sneak in under the wire there too.
Perfect. Thank you. That was a lot of great information, as always. We have another a thank you for you speaking, Kelsey. It was great to see you again, and I hope everyone got some great takeaways. And so, as a reminder, we will send the recording out so you can rewatch, and then we will also send those links that's been shared in the chat throughout the call. We'll share them in an email as well.
Amazing. Thanks so much,
Great.
everyone,
Thank
and
you.
look forward to being in touch.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.